Hello everyone, welcome to GS Core. So I'm back with another iteration of our free daily answer writing initiative, that is one day, one answer. So the purpose, as I've told before as well in the previous videos, the purpose is to cultivate answer writing. Answer writing in its most useful sense. If you look at the mains examination, it is all about the themes that we have to deal with. So mains is all about themes and issues. While every year the questions may change, but the themes which we largely derive from the syllabus remains the same. Hence, yet again today, I am going to discuss a theme and take up a previous year's question, and through that we will try and decipher that theme and the requirements that should be there at our end to justify that. Because ultimately it is about the outcome, the expression which fetches marks in the examination. So any random answer writing activity serves a very limited purpose. You get a question, you write an answer, but you never explore the themes. Ideally, the same question might not be asked, exactly the same question might not be asked in the UPSC. It can be similar. So, the exploration of these themes is vital. For those of you who are joining this initiative for the first time, let me just briefly tell you about the idea. So, like I said, that it is about the outcome in terms of developing that answer writing skill, the expression skill, the analysis. So every day from Monday to Friday, we upload a video concerning a theme from the GS, that is the general studies portion of the mains examination on our YouTube channel. Okay, do have a look at the description. It has the link for the Telegram group on which the discussion takes place and the link for the handle to send in your answers. You need to write your answer on a piece of paper, write a question, date, scan it, make a PDF and send it on this particular handle. Okay. You will find the practice question in the pinned comment, and we'll be discussing the same along with your responses and a personalized feedback at 7 p.m. the same evening. So I'll be taking a question today, PYQ, for discussion, and you will be attempting a pinned question which will be based on the same theme. Along with that, in the group itself, you will get the model hints for these two questions along with two additional practice questions which you can practice at your own. Okay, so I hope this makes the idea clear and the utility of this program clear. So today, I am going to take up a theme from the subject of governance and social justice. That is GS paper 2. Roughly, if we see, the weightage of governance and social justice varies from 85 to 100 marks in the mains examination. This year 2024 it was 85 marks. Okay. So the theme that I am going to take up today is role of civil services in a democracy. Okay. So let us look at the question and discuss its concept. So as part of today's discussion, I will be discussing this particular question. The doctrine of democratic governance makes it necessary that the public perception of the integrity, commitment of civil servants becomes absolutely positive. Discuss. Now, if you look at this particular question, we are referring to the topic of role of civil services in a democracy. Like I said, it's a PYQ. This was asked in this mains itself, 2024, as a 10 marker. Now, when we come to the role of civil services in a democracy, it's a very abstract idea, broader idea, which you often do not get the details about. So ideally, we should have a clarity of the philosophical basis, the institutions, orientations, and the aptitude and attitude of the civil servants. Apart from that, if we look at, we need to see a holistic big picture, how they interact with democracy and are vital for good governance. So that is the larger canvas that we sketch for ourselves with regards to this topic. Now, if you look at the doctrine of democratic governance, necessary that the public perceptions of integrity and commitment, that means certain philosophical, their ethical base and its perception on the citizenry at large. Okay. So let's dig deep into the concept. So the history and need of civil services. Evolution. When I say evolution, I can break it down into its birth in terms of the modern form that we see during colonial times, its colonial evolution, the indigenization aspect, how Indians were brought in, and what was the role, aptitude, attitudinal dispositions, values that these civil servants enshrined, the structures, institutions that were present here. And then a paradigmical shift happens, because here during the birth in the colonial times and through the colonial times, the idea was simply domination, law and order and revenue functions. But in 1947, a paradigmic shift takes place. We become independent. And the idea is that welfareist development functions and the ideals of constitution and democracy emerges. It is through the maturity that the idea of democratic governance, decentralization, etc. emerges. That the citizens are no more the passive recipients of the top-down approach of the state. They ought to be made active participants. And when we say that it is necessary for the public perception, why? The basics, the philosophical basis. State is a tool or a machinery to serve the public interest of society. But the colonial times made state, the bureaucracy, the civil services very powerful, with immense power, authority, command over resources. So it started dominating the society. So this social contract got fractured. And especially after independence, this approach could not go for long. but the colonial hangover continues. That leads to erosion of trust and legitimacy in the state and the capability of the civil services, if it fails to deliver goods and services as per the aspirations of the people. And that is the idea which is there. And to do that, they need to imbibe certain values. Until and unless this becomes positive, people will continue to be suspicious of the civil services, will not have a benign view of them, will not have a very good impression of them, and it will fracture the citizen administration engagement. So the administration should be opening up in the light of the concept of democratic governance. So this is one concept through which the role of civil servants is being seen. Hence, what should be done? What are the lacunas? What should be done to bring about the improvement, so that the integrity and commitment of civil servants not only get enriched within the framework of the civil services, but the public perception of it also improves, so that the citizens have trust in the state and the administration, thereby deepening the roots of democratic governance, truly operationalizing the idea of democratic governance, where people become eager to participate in governance rather than getting shooed off by the elitist colonial attitude. And that can be demonstrated through integrity and commitment. It should not be there only, it should be perceived as well. So having that is not sufficient, its perception is also necessary. So this is the deconstruction or the soul of the question at hand. Right? Now, if you see the gamut of issues that we need to actually look at in this particular question, like I said, we need to look at the evolution of the civil services, the role of the civil services in not only advising the political executive, not only in policy framing, but also in policy implementation, where it comes in close contact with the public or citizens at large. It is also about collection of data, information. So it is a two-way communication. They take the feedback from ground up and bring in the solutions to the public. They also act as agents of awareness generation, agents of facilitation. And hence these technicalities are needed in your answer. Now they are responsible besides that for law and order, judicial function, right? And hence it is crucial. Now we have to link it with the ideals of governance and democratic governance. Democratic governance would entail active citizen participation in the governance processes, that is a triloka of state, market, civil society. And if I make it good governance, it has to be consensus oriented, accountable, transparent, participative, efficient and effective. It should have equity and inclusivity. It should be responsive. It should adhere to the rule of law. So, in conjunction with these aspects, if we look at the values of integrity and commitment and its public perception with citizens, that is vital for public trust and the legitimacy of the administration or the civil services. Civil services is the action arm of the state. Whatever state wants to do gets done by the civil services. They are both policy framers as well as implementators. With democracy and democratic governance, the gamut of functions, the responsibilities have increased. New challenges are emerging, and especially in a developing democracy like in a developing country with democratic decentralization like ours, there are multiple layers of goals and objectives, and they have to manage these competing demands, rationalize it, bring consensus. At the same time, be perceived as having integrity and commitment. So that will be shown only if it is transparent and accountable. Integrity. Commitment would lead to result, that is policy implementation. And in that role, if they imbibe these ideals, they act as agents of nation building. And if the public has a positive perception of these agents, it leads to truer or more meaningful operationalization of democratic governance. So this is the core idea. However, there are issues. Issues with regards to civil services in terms of archaic laws, rules, processes. Ills like red tapeism, status quoism, lack of change. Corruption, of course, is one of the biggest issues. Hence, training, capacity building, opening more avenues and fora where the citizens feel comfortable to approach the civil servants for their grievance redressal. Let me just tell you one example. You see a policeman approaching towards you. Suddenly, a feeling of fear gets instilled. Have I done something wrong? He might just be here to say hi or shake your hand. But that feeling, that public perception is the key. That is why you don't approach police. The first thing is how it can be hushed up. Why to go to police? So these things actually lead to certain issues in realization of democratic governance. Besides, if we look at the role of civil services in a democracy, as part of the theme, we should be aware of the debates. For example, generalist versus specialist, lateral entry, reform, civil services selection board, issues like tenurial security, lateral entry, okay, I have taken lateral entry, tenurial security, issues related to transfer posting, reforms, training, capacity building, issues, solutions. For example, Mission Karam Yogi, iGOT platform, all these things have to be taken into account. Apart from that, various committees, Santhanam committee, Baswan committee, right, to look at the human resource related practices and their moral and ethical dispositions. That would include a civil services law, a code of conduct, a code of ethics, etc. Okay. Now, coming to the question itself, how are we going to structure this particular question? Now, if you look at, it is talking about a few things, that is democratic governance, the idea of integrity, commitment, okay, idea of integrity, commitment and the public perception. Now, a lot of you would end up defining all those things. Yes, we need those definitions, we need those description, but that might not be the ideal way to frame and structure this answer. So first we will have to link the democratic governance, the certain values that the civil service should have which brings about trust in the civil services and improve public perception so as to deep-root democratic governance. Then the role of the civil services, the tool that they are in terms of providing for democratic governance, like I said earlier, in terms of delivery of goods and services, implementation, collecting data, taking ground of information dissemination, sensitization, etc. How they are vital to uphold rule of law and ensuring good governance. How transparency, accountability are vital, and the ideals of integrity and commitment can be demonstrated through that and the goods and service delivery. Then we will have to talk about how the public perception leads to, if it is good, legitimization, more democratic governance, and how a low or a poor public perception of the civil services leads to erosion of trust, delegitimization. Okay, in that we need to build the analysis in this, body part, wherein initially we have opened up linked relevance, then we will go into details, like I said, the roles, the values, etc. And we have to build analysis, not just what aspect. That is just the information which most of you end up writing, but also how and why. So a reasoning oriented approach is needed. A leads to B leads to C, and that is why C is what it is. Okay. Then we will have to flag the issues which continue to plague: political interference, elitism, corruption, etc. And then we have to suggest the measures for betterment. And then at the end, we'll mop up everything and summarize that how this value connotation with regards to integrity and commitment ultimately leads to, through the above reasoning, the enrichment of democratic decentralization or democratic governance. Not decentralization per se, it's a part of it, but the overall edifice of democratic governance, its true operationalization, its true meaning. And this is how we will be able to write a well-rounded answer. So I hope this deconstruction of theme and the discussion of this particular PYQ would help you understand and decipher this theme better, link and interlink the ideas, and express yourself better on the paper. Remember, the discussion for this question happens today at 7 p.m. on our Telegram channel. The details are in the description. You have to send in your responses to a dedicated handle which you will find in the description itself, and the practice question that you have to attempt is there in the pinned post. So let's catch up today evening at 7 p.m. on the Telegram channel. That's all. Thank you.